The Galactic Law said no warships for humans. We built a Dreadnought instead. HFY. The Helios Mercy floated above the dark side of the colony. Her lights off, her engines silent. Commander Eli Warren stood at the edge of the bridge, staring at the red glow rising from the surface. Smoke curled from the destroyed habitats below. The emergency beacon kept blinking, weak and slow, but no other ships had answered the call. Eli turned to his crew. Still no response from the Alliance? The second in command, Dr. Mira Lane, shook her head. Nothing? The colony sent out a distress signal over an hour ago. No patrols. No support. No one's coming. Eli's jaw clenched. Then we go. But we're not armed, said Tech Officer Lin, his voice unsure. We're not a combat ship. That's what the Alliance thinks, Eli replied. The crew stared at him in silence. The Helios Mercy was registered as a medical response vessel. She was long and narrow, painted white with the Red Cross symbols burned onto her hull. Officially, she was fitted for deep space trauma care and mass evacuations. But that wasn't the full truth. Eli looked at Mira, and she gave a small nod. Together they stepped to the control console. Activate Shield Layer 3, Eli said. Eli? Lin whispered. Do it. With a soft hum, the energy field rippled across the outer shell. A different shield pattern emerged. Stronger, older, hidden beneath the public-facing systems. The crew watched in stunned silence as parts of the floor lifted, revealing weapons that had never been meant for public use. Everyone, Eli said. This ship wasn't made to break laws. It was made to protect the people who would be left to die when the laws failed. How long? Mira asked. 10 minutes till we reach orbit over the colony's central zone. From below, a new signal came through. It wasn't a distress call. It was a warning. Short, angry, sharp. A pirate broadcast. We own this rock now. Anyone tries to land, we'll blow them out of the sky. Alliance won't save you. No one will. The voice crackled and cut off. Then a laugh followed. Eli turned to Lin. How many hostiles? 3 ships on the ground. 1 patrol craft in orbit. In water, there's something else. I'm picking up a signal jammer near the main dome. That's why no one can call out. Eli nodded. All right, Mira. Prep the drone pods. I want a clean strike on that jammer. This is a medical ship, Lin whispered again. No, Eli said. It was never just that. As the Helios Mercy moved silently across the upper clouds of the colony world, the drone hatches opened without a sound. For sleek silver pods slipped into the dark. They dropped fast. The pirates never saw them coming. A bright flash lit the sky where the jammer had been. The crew cheered. Eli gave the next order. Prep the decoy engines. Launch sequence Delta. Panels on the ship's sides burst open, releasing a series of burning objects into orbit. From the pirate craft's view, it looked like a small fleet had arrived. The patrol ship fired in panic. The decoys scattered. Now, Eli shouted, full speed. The Helios Mercy dropped through the clouds. Her engines roared to life engines that had been upgraded years ago during Project Starlight. The crew gripped their seats as the ship hit the atmosphere hard. We're picking up colonist life signs, Mira called out. Dozens, trapped in Dome C. They're under fire. Send in rescue shuttles Alpha and Bravo, Eli said. And unlock turret shields. We keep the pirates busy until our teams get everyone out. In the skies above the colony, a ship meant for healing opened fire. The energy cannons hummed. Red beams struck the pirate ground ships, disabling engines and melting weapons. On the "Comes," the pirate leader screamed in rage. You think we're scared of a hospital ship? One of the pirate vessels powered up its own weapons. It launched a torpedo toward Helios Mercy. Eli didn't flinch. The ship's auto-defense grid activated. A wall of blue light caught the missile mid-air and crushed it with a single burst. Looks like the patient's fighting back. Myra whispered. The colonists watched in disbelief as a ship with red crosses destroyed the enemy before landing with smooth precision. Shuttles launched from the Helios Mercy, sweeping in low and fast, picking up injured, frightened people. Children, elderly, workers covered in ash. They had expected to die. But help had come. Inside Dome C, a small girl with a burned leg stared at the rescue medic. "Are you angels?" "No," the medic said softly. "We're just humans. Humans who got tired of waiting for someone else to care." By the time the last pirate fled the colony, the Helios Mercy had rescued over 300 people. Not one had been lost during the attack. Not one. But back in orbit, hidden in the shadows, a small Alliance drone watched everything and transmitted every second to the High Council. The next morning, Commander Eli Warren received a message. Short, cold. Cease operations immediately. Prepare for inspection. You are in violation of Galactic Regulation Code 9.4. He stared at the message for a long time. Then he turned to Mira and said only 3 words. "They know now." And she whispered back. "Then we don't stop." Asterisk, the Helios Mercy drifted. In quiet space again, far from the colony it had saved. Inside the medical bay, children lay wrapped in blankets, sleeping. Their parents sat nearby, too tired to speak, but their eyes followed every movement of the crew. Commander Eli Warren stood on the upper walkway, staring down. He wasn't smiling. His heart was heavy. Saving people wasn't the part that scared him. What came after always did. Dr. Mira Lane walked up behind him and handed him a data pad. "They sent another message," she said. Eli didn't need to read it. "They're sending someone, aren't they?" She nodded. Full inspection. Alliance Command Vessel Silverwind. Arrival in 72 hours. Eli took a deep breath and finally looked at the screen. The message was official, cold, and full of warnings. The Alliance was done pretending. 3 days, he said. That's all we have to hide everything. Mira glanced around. This ship was never built to pass inspection. We turned a hospital into a warship. No, Eli said. We turned a helpless ship into something that can actually save lives. Mira gave him a tired smile. Try explaining that to the council. Down in the engine room, Tech Officer Lin was already at work. He'd removed the power routing boards that connected the hidden weapons and was now trying to rewire the ship. To look normal, everywhere else, the crew moved fast. Panels were replaced. Cannons retracted. Or gun ports were sealed behind folding medical walls. Or Ben logs were scrubbed from the database. Eli walked through it all, watching, nodding, giving orders. This wasn't the first time they had hidden the truth, but it might be the last. Late that night, he stood alone on the bridge, staring out at the stars. He remembered the first time he was told to stand down, back when he served in Earth's official medical fleet. A colony on the edge of known space was under attack. Had a ship ready. He had the power to help. But Alliance orders said no. You are not a combat vessel, they said. Stay out of it. By the time they allowed him to go, hundreds were dead. That was the day Project Starlight was born. Not as revenge, not as rebellion, but as a promise. Never again. No. They were running out of time. The next day, a small civilian freighter docked quietly with Helios Mercy. A woman stepped out in plain clothes. She wore no rank. But every crew member stopped what they were doing when they saw her. It was Commander Isla Cross, once a top Alliance officer, now a ghost, hiding in the cracks of the galaxy. Eli met her at the docking ramp. You came. She gave him a look. You knew I would. The whole outer belt is buzzing. Everyone saw the rescue. You made headlines? Didn't mean to? Doesn't matter, she said. They'll come for you now, not just to inspect. They'll try to shut you down. Eli nodded. Can you help, Ela? Handed him a small metal box. This is a Blackfield scrambler. Jam their scans. Won't hold long, but it'll delay them. Also brought something else. She waved, and 2 people stepped forward. One was a combat engineer, the other a stealth systems expert. Both had once served on Earth's elite ships before disappearing. They're yours now, Isla said. If you still want to fight. Smart Eli looked at them, then back at her. I do. That night they rehearsed the cover story again. Helios Mercy had been responding to a distress call. The pirates had used jamming tech, so they use stronger shields to survive. Atmospheric entry. Heat dispersion arrays explain the weapon damage patterns. Drone diagnostics explained the combat maneuvers. It was a lie, but one built on pieces of truth. Everything depended on how well they sold it. The next morning, the Silver Wind appeared. She was huge, 6 times the size of Helios Merciond, sleek, with the Alliance crest glowing bright on her hull. She launched 2 shuttles. The inspection team had arrived. Eli stood in the hangar bay with Myra beside him. It didn't show fear. It's only calm, quiet strength. The lead inspector stepped out, Commander Revik, tall, gray eyes. His voice was smooth but cold. "Commander Warren," he said, "you've been busy." Eli nodded. "We saved a colony. It's what we do." Revik raised an eyebrow. "We'll see?" He walked past them, already scanning the walls, the lights, even the air vents. Eli turned to Mira and whispered, "It begins." She didn't reply. She only gripped his hand once and let go. As Revik entered the main corridor, his eyes lingered on a closed door at the far end. Behind that door was a sealed chamber, one the crew hadn't opened in years. It's where they had hidden the cannon controls. Revik paused, then smiled faintly. Eli followed Revik down the corridor, every step tight with tension. The inspector's boots made sharp sounds on the polished metal floor. His team walked behind him, holding scanners and data pads, their eyes cold and curious. Mira stayed close, to Eli's side, hiding her worry. Behind her, Lynn and the other crew waited near their stations, trying to look calm. The rest of the colonists had been moved to the lower medical decks. Away from the inspection route, Revik stopped in front of the sealed chamber. "This room isn't on the blueprint," he said, tapping the steel door. "It's a storage bay." Eli replied quickly, "We kept it closed because the last fire damaged the inner systems. Seals still hold, but we haven't repaired everything." Revik smiled politely. "Open it." Eli's heart skipped, but he nodded. "Of course, Chimera." Stepped forward and entered a code on the wall panel. The door hissed, slowly sliding open. The chamber inside was dark. Large crates stood in rows, fabric covers draped over strange shapes. Revik walked in, his scanner out. He moved slowly between the crates, eyes sharp. "What are these?" asked. "Old trauma equipment," Mira said. "Decontamination units, emergency pods, some experimental tech, all within medical use limits." One of Revik's officers scanned a crate. The scanner blinked red. "This power core isn't standard. It's too strong for medical systems." Eli stepped in. "We had to install it during the last outbreak on Veganine. The old power units couldn't keep up with the life support systems. When we ran triage for hundreds of patients." Revik nodded slowly, like he didn't believe it but couldn't prove anything. "I see," he said. "Still, I'll need a full list of everything in this room." "Of course," Mira said. "We'll deliver it before you leave." Team moved on. They inspected the drone bay, the surgical rooms, even the food storage. At every step, they asked questions. Eli and his crew answered calmly. Not with lies, but with half-truths, carefully chosen. 3 hours passed before the team returned to the bridge. Revik stood in the center, looking out at the stars through the main view window. "I must admit," he said, "for a ship under suspicion, Helios Mercy is ... impressive." Eli stayed quiet. "You responded fast," Revik continued. "Your ship moved like a military cruiser. Your drones had advanced programming. Your shields were stronger than any rescue vessel I've seen." Eli met his eyes. "We did what we had to do to save lives." Revik nodded slowly. "Perhaps. But that's not for you to decide. That's why we have regulations." He turned to leave, then paused. "One last thing," he said. "There's a signal coming from your ship. A weak one. Hidden under your medical frequency. Care to explain?" Eli froze. He looked at Mira. She looked back at him. "We don't know of any signal," she said. Revik waved to his team. "Find it." One of his officers moved to the side console. His fingers danced across the screen, and he stopped. "It's coming." From the forward med lab, Eli's heart sank. That lab had been cleared days ago. No one should be there. The only thing inside was the Blackfield scrambler Isla had installed. He moved quickly. "I'll take you there." Revik followed. Mira came too. When they reached the door, Eli opened it. The room was dark. Empty. Or it looked empty. Revik stepped inside, scanned once, then walked to the far wall. He pulled open a vent panel. Inside was the scrambler, still warm. "What is this?" Revik asked. Eli paused. "It's a jammer," Myra said, stepping forward. "We've had issues with pirate tracking systems. This was used to block them. That's all." Revik studied it. "It's not standard issue." "No," Eli agreed. "But it kept the colonists alive." Revik stared at him for a long time. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a chip. "Set it down on the nearby table. This is your temporary pass," he said. "You'll be cleared for now, but we're not done." He turned to leave. "There will be another inspection. One with a full team. And if I find one thing that doesn't match your story, ... He didn't finish. He didn't need to. The next day, as the silver wind left, Eli watched it disappear into the stars. Mira stood beside him. "We fooled them for now." "No," Eli said. "We delayed them." Behind them, Ela entered the bridge with a grim face. "We have a bigger problem." She handed Eli another datapad. "They just arrested Captain Rios. He was building a rescue ship like ours. Someone tipped off the Alliance." Eli scrolled through the message. "Arrested. Disappeared. No trial." Eli's voice was low. "They're not just watching us. They're hunting us." Eli clenched his fists. "Then we stop hiding," he said. "It's time the others knew what's coming." And with that, he called his crew to the war room. * The war room on Helios. Mercy was a small chamber near the rear of the ship. It had once been used for medical training, but now it held holoprojectors, strategy maps, and secure communication lines. The crew sat around the central table: Lee, Lai, Myra, Lin, Isla, and a few others from the engineering and flight teams. Eli stood at the front, holding the datapad Isla had given him. "They arrested Captain Rios," he said. "No trial, no contact. Just gone." Everyone looked tense. "He was working on another ship, right?" asked Lin. Eli nodded. "Same design as ours. A hospital vessel with defensive systems. He was part of Project Starlight too." "They're coming after all of us," Mira whispered. Isla leaned forward. "It gets worse. The Alliance has started marking known Starlight supporters, cutting off their fuel shipments, denying docking rights, freezing their credits. There. Turning the galaxy against us quietly." Eli looked around the table. "We can't sit here anymore. Not while they erase us one by one." "What do we do?" Lin asked. "We send a message," Eli said. "To every other hidden Starlight ship out there. Tell them we're still standing. Tell them we're not backing down." "And what if the Alliance hears it too?" Mira asked. "They will," Isla said. "But it's time they know we're not scared." Eli brought up a galaxy map. "There are at least 12 ships like ours still active. Want to call them together? One place?"
One meeting.
"A hidden point near the old Terran belt. It's empty space, full of drifting rock and static storms. We hide there. We talk. We build something bigger than one ship." "You want to start a fleet?" Mira asked. "Want to finish what project?" "Starlight began," Eli said. "Real protection for our people." The crew was quiet. Then slowly, one by one, they nodded. "I'll send the signal," Isla said. "Code it. Only people from the project will recognize the pattern." Within hours, the message was moving across deep space. A simple sentence repeated in a loop. "Mercy burns bright. Gather at the flame." It was an old phrase one of the first project's Starlight teams had used to signal safe harbor. 2 days later, the first ship arrived. It looked like a supply freighter, but its armor was thick and its engines heavy. It docked with Helios Mercy without a word. The crew was small and lonely for humans, but their captain, a woman with sharp eyes and a scar down her neck, stepped aboard and saluted Eli. "You're still alive," she said. "Barely," Eli replied. She grinned. "Then, let's make some noise." More ships followed. Some were beat-up haulers, others sleek shuttles. All of them had been built in secret, and every one of them had stories about colonies attacked, families lost, and the Alliance looking the other way. Inside the war room, the captains met. Eli stood at the front again, this time facing more than 20 people, men and women who had once worn Earth uniforms, lab coats, mining gear. Now, they were leaders of hidden ships. "We've all seen it," Eli said. "We've all felt it. The Alliance promised to protect us. But when the trouble came, they were late. Tor never came at all." Heads nodded. "Then we built our own ships, not to start a war, but to stop our people from dying." Someone at the back stood up. "Now they call us criminals. They fear what we might become," Isla said. "Not because we're wrong, but because we dared to act." "So what now?" a young pilot asked. "We keep hiding?" "No," Eli said. "We become something real. We form the Ghost Fleet. We protect colonies. We answer calls. And we do it together." Silence fell. Then the woman with the scar stepped forward. "Count me in." "Us too," said another. "And another." Eli nodded. "Then we begin now. No more waiting." Just as the room began planning routes and patrols, Lynn burst in, breathless. "We have a problem." Everyone turned. "What is it?" Eli asked. "I picked up a scan from a nearby sector. Long-range scout. Alliance markings. It saw us. And now it's jumping to hyperspace." Eli didn't hesitate. He said, "We can't let that message get out." "Too late," Lynn said. "It already jumped." The room fell quiet again. "They know where we are," Mira whispered. Eli looked out the window at the silent stars. "Then we don't wait for them to strike first," he said. "We take the fight to them." The next morning, Helios Mercy floated near the edge of the Terran belt. Around it, the rest of the hidden ships drifted in formation, silent, watchful, ready. There were 11 of them now. All had answered the call. All knew the risk. Eli stood on the bridge with Mira, Isla, and Lynn. His jaw was tight. His hands rested on the railing. "They're coming," Lynn said quietly. Alliance response fleet. For heavy cruisers. 2 escort ships. Estimated arrival time 3 hours. No one spoke. "We're not sending inspectors this time," Mira said. "No," Isla replied. "They're sending enforcers," Eli nodded. "Then we don't wait here to be surrounded." "What do we do?" Mira asked. "We split," he said. "Scatter. Let them chase empty space." He turned to the comms panel, broadcast to the fleet. The message went out. "This is Commander Eli Warren of Helios Mercy. They know where we are. Yeah. We can't fight them head and not yet. Split into pairs. Jump to pre-marked fallback points. Keep moving. Meet again in 7 days. And one last thing, if they find you, don't. Go quietly." Within minutes, the ships peeled away. They jumped one after another, leaving nothing behind but cold rock and drifting dust. Helios Mercy didn't jump right away. Instead, Eli gave a different order. "Set course for Vega Outpost 4. Mira turned toward him. "That place? It's unprotected. That's why we're going," Eli said. Outpost 4 was one of the oldest mining stations in human space. It had no shields, no patrols, and barely any staff. Only a few hundred people lived there, miners, engineers. And families, it was too small for the Alliance to care. Someone had to. Helios Mercy arrived 6 hours later. The station looked half dead. Lights flickered. The docking arm barely extended. They landed slowly. As soon as the crew stepped out, they were met by a tired-looking man in greasy overalls. "You're not Alliance," he said. "No," Eli answered. "We're here to help." The man blinked. "Why?" "Because you're human." The man stared at him, then pointed down the hallway. "You better talk to Mayor Hodge." The station's mayor was a woman in her 60s. Her voice was raspy. She met Eli in the control room, surrounded by old screens and broken cables. "You're one of them," she said. "The ones the Alliance says are dangerous." "Maybe," Eli replied, "but we're also the ones who show up." She studied him for a long moment. Then she sighed. "You got two choices, Commander. You can help us fix our water processors, or you can sit here and try to explain the rules." Eli smiled. "We'll get started." The next 2 days, Helios Mercy worked like a repair ship. Mira helped in the sickbay. Lynn patched the station's failing oxygen systems. Eli coordinated supply drops. The crew made no speeches. They asked for nothing. But the people of Vega 4 watched. They remembered. On the third day, the warning came. Our small boy ran down the corridor shouting, "Ship! Big ship!" Here, Eli and Mira rushed to the observation deck. Single Alliance cruiser floated just beyond the edge of the station's sensors. It didn't fire, it didn't dock, it just sat there watching. "Think they'll attack?" Mira asked. "No," Eli said. "They want us to run, so they can say we're guilty." Eli walked in, stalling, waiting for backup. Eli nodded. "Then we leave before it arrives." "But what about the station?" Mira asked. "They'll take it out to punish us." "Not if they think we're still here," Isla said, her eyes narrowing. Eli turned to Lynn. "Can you spoof our signal?" Lynn grinned. "I can make them think we never left." That night, Helios Mercy powered down all outer lights. A small decoy drone, carrying the ship's signal code, floated silently above the station. Inside, the crew gathered in the shuttle bay. One by one, they boarded 2 small stealth shuttles. Eli looked back at the ship. "She saved a lot of lives." Mira nodded. "She'll do it again." They launched in silence, drifting away under cloak, leaving Helios Mercy behind like a ghost. The Alliance cruiser stayed. It waited. And when it finally fired on the empty ship 3 days later, no one on Vega Outpost 4 had been hurt. But a secret message had already reached the outer systems. They destroyed a hospital ship. And across the stars, people started asking why. The news spread faster than the Alliance expected. People shared images of the explosion, the burning, pieces of Helios Mercy, and the shocked faces of the miners from Vega Outpost 4. No Alliance statement could explain it. The ship had been marked as a rescue vessel. It carried no weapons and public records. Been helping people, and the Alliance had blown it apart. Eli sat inside a cramped safe house on Phobos, Mars' small moon. The room was cold and dim, walls covered in maps and radio receivers. Mira, Isla, and Lynn sat around him. No one spoke. The silence was heavy. "They did it," Mira said at last. "They really destroyed her." Eli closed his eyes. "We were never supposed to win this by staying hidden." "They think they killed us," Lynn said, tapping his gums. "They even broadcast a victory message. Rogue vessel neutralized." That's the exact phrase they used. "Which make them regret those words," Isla said. Eli looked up. His voice was calm but strong. "Then we go to Jupiter." Mira blinked. "What's at Jupiter?" "Outpost 6, Eli answered. "And the last working Starlight shipyard." Lynn sat up. "I thought that place was shut down." "It was," Eli said. "But I kept the key." They left that same night. Their stolen shuttle made the long jump across the system, ducking under patrol routes, slipping past sensor nets. The journey took 16 hours, but when they arrived, the sight took Mira's breath away. Outpost 6 hung inside Jupiter's shadow, hidden behind one of its smaller moons. It looked abandoned, broken towers, half-lit domes, shattered solar panels. But as they drifted closer, lights flickered on. A docking signal pinged. Eli guided them into the hangar himself. The doors creaked open. Inside, dust floated in the cold air. But machines still hummed beneath layers of age. They stepped out into silence. Then a figure appeared from the shadows, an old man in a stained coat, holding a wrench. "Took you long enough," he said. "Hello, Max," Eli said with a smile. "Still fixing everything?" "Still trying," Max replied. "You bring me trouble?" Eli nodded. "The usual." Over the next 3 days, they worked non-stop. Outpost 6 had more than dust. It had blueprints, old holes. Core parts from ships never finished. It had the shell of another Mercy-class vessel, half-built, unnamed. Mira ran her hands across the frame. We could finish this one. Eli looked at Max. How long would it take? Max scratched his beard. 2 weeks, if you don't care how pretty she looks. We don't, Isla said. Word reached them on the 4th day. From all corners of human space, people were talking. On Earth, on Mars, on Europa, colonists, freighters, miners, doctors, even small military units who had once sworn to the Alliance now whispered the same thing. They destroyed a hospital ship. Eli stood before the growing team inside Outpost 6. More people had arrived, former engineers, pilots, medics. Some carried bags, some carried tools, all carried stories. They thought we'd stay down, Eli said. Oh, they thought they could silence us, but they made us louder. Someone called out. Lee nodded. So now we finish what we started. We finish this ship, we name her Helios Reborn, and we show them that mercy doesn't die. It comes back stronger. Work began. Work began. Around the clock, sparks flew. Metal was welded. Engines were lifted into place and rebuilt. The control systems. Mira set up the new medbay. Isla trained volunteers in stealth flight and emergency defense. They had no permits, no outside help, no safe flag to hide under. But for the first time, they didn't want one. 8 days later, the ship powered on. Her engines glowed. Her shields held. Her scanners lit up the screens with golden light. She was smaller than the first Helios Mercy, but faster, sharper. Not just a rescue ship, not just a symbol. She was a warning. Eli stood on the bridge as the engines warmed. She's ready, Lynn said. Where to first? Mira asked. Eli's eyes narrowed. Call the fleet, he said. All the hidden ships. Tell them we fly again. Outside the window, Jupiter turned slowly in the dark. The last lights of the old world faded behind them, and the Helios Reborn rose. The Helios Reborn glided through deep space, fast and silent. Her new engines hummed like a whisper. On the bridge, Eli stood tall in the captain's chair. Mira sat at the medical station, scanning com signals. Lynn handled navigation. Stood near the weapons console, calm but ready. The hidden fleet had answered. 9 ships now flew together, some big, some small, all rebuilt in secret. Back together, they moved like shadows through the stars. No flags, no orders from the Alliance, only one mission: protect human lives where the Alliance would not. Mira leaned forward. Distress call. Origin Hesperid. Well, it's a mining colony, small one. They're under attack. Pirates again. Lynn pulled up the location. That's 2 jumps away, and no Alliance patrols nearby. Eli didn't wait. Set course. All ships follow. The fleet turned in unison and vanished into hyperspace. When they arrived, Hespera 12 was already burning. Flames rose from the surface. A ship hovered above the main mine shaft. It wasn't just pirates, it was a mercenary group, one that had raided colonies before, the same kind that had taken Eli's brother, the same that answered to no one but credits. They haven't seen us yet, Isla said. Good, Eli replied. Let's remind them who's watching now. The Helios Reborn charged in. So did the others. Missiles lit the sky. But the hidden fleet moved like ghosts, dodging, weaving, striking fast. Each ship used old mining tricks, power bursts, signal jammers, decoys. The mercenaries weren't ready for ships that fought like traitors and hit like warships. Eli's voice rang through the fleet channel. No one dies unless they make that choice. Disable, disarm, save who you can. The battle was over in 20 minutes. 3 pirate ships drifted, engines dead. The others ran. On the surface, survivors waved toward the sky as rescue teams landed. The fleet dropped supplies, medkits, and food. Mira helped a young girl with a cut on her cheek. The girl looked up and asked, "Are you with the Alliance?" Mira smiled. "No, sweetheart. We're with the ones who showed up." Psst. The people of Hesperit would remember. So would others. In the days that followed, whispers spread across the galaxy. They came in ships with no names. They fought like lightning. They helped, then left. No one knew where they were going next. That was the point. The Alliance couldn't chase them all, couldn't stop what had already started. Eli sat in his quarters one evening, reading through messages sent from hidden sources. One was from Mars. One was from Europa. One came from an old Alliance captain who had quietly resigned. All of them asked the same thing. "How can we join you?" Mira entered carrying a datapad. "You need to see this," she said. A news feed played on the small screen. The Alliance High Council stood behind a podium, their faces tense. The speaker, a man with silver skin and cold eyes, tried to stay calm. "They're authorized human ships acting outside the treaty. We call for their surrender. They will face trial." The crowd in front of him didn't cheer. They didn't clap. Instead, someone in the back shouted, "Where were you when the colonies burned?" Another person yelled, "We trust the ghost." "Fleet." More voices followed. The feed cut off. Eli set the pad down. "It's starting." Mira nodded. "People aren't afraid anymore." Ela stepped into the room. "I have a signal from Earth. Quiet channel. It's Ambassador Nari." Eli took the call. The ambassador's face appeared, tired but smiling. "Commander," she said, "there's movement in the council. Some members want change. Yeah. Your actions are forcing them to listen." Eli kept his tone steady. "We're not here to fight the Alliance. It's just to protect the people they forgot. You're doing more than that," Nari said. "You're changing what people believe is possible." When the call ended, Eli walked to the bridge. The stars stretched ahead, bright, open, endless. He turned to the crew. "Yeah, there will be more trouble. More attacks, more people in need." Lynn grinned. "And more ships to build." Mira leaned back in her seat. "And more lives to save." Eli smiled. "Then we keep going." The Helios Reborn turned once more toward the dark, quiet edges of space. No fanfare, no flags, just purpose. And the soft hum of mercy, burning bright where no one else dared to go.